Oh gosh. The sobbing, the tear factor. The tear factor. I felt so many emotions reading this. There's so few books that have actually brought me to tears. Outside of what's the book by N.K. Jemisin, the Broken Earth trilogy. I read that first book in a night and I was sobbing. I would have it up here if my sister wasn't robbed. I let her borrow it and someone broke into her car and stole the book along with it. When love comes in. What's up, everyone? Welcome to Brooke Tyler, where I talk about the books that I read, the things that I write, and the art that I make. So, since I did just finish a book since starting this channel, I thought it would be fun to go ahead and rank my reads. It's an idea I've had since I started this channel, and I figure, kind of why not do it early and kind of get the kinks out before I'm on like video 100 if I make it that far into my YouTube journey. So, I'm going to rank the books I currently have in my possession that I've read because a lot of them are still at my mom's house. I have not gone through the boxes when she moved homes, so there could be a whole plethora of books in there that could eventually make it on this ranking thing I'm going to do. But I'm just going to focus on the books that I have and the books that I have finished. So I don't know if you can even see all of them. I am going to rank this stack of books and we'll just go from there. So, as you can tell, this isn't fully thought out. I don't know. Since I'm in the beginning stages of this channel, I kind of don't want to overthink it. If I have an idea, I just want to try it. And if it's something I liked, then I can kind of hone it down the line. That's probably why, like, my first few videos have felt really random and all over the place. I'm really going into these without a script, without having anything like pre-memorized or whatever. Like I have a notion of what I'm going to say, but I'm not trying to bog myself down and I'm going to say this and then this and then that and then blah 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 blah. Granted, in the future, I need to be more streamlined. I go back and rewatch some of these and they're all over the place, like this little section right now. So I'm going to cut that off and go into the ranking. So this is, like I was just saying, it's not overly thought out. I don't know what order I'm going to put these books in. I just got the collection out. Um, I'm going to try to rank them in. Okay, I think I'm going to grade them in ways in how much I enjoyed the book and how likely I am to recommend it. I'll think about it as I go. So let me see. And I'll give my reasonings as we go along. Okay, I'm back with my really janky setup. So this is basically my ranking system. The Let me actually not show the logo because your girl's not sponsored by anything. The hot sauce is my 5. The salt is in my middle. And the water, I'm just going to say right now, is the end of the scale. I don't know what number I want to put it on yet, but as I rank, this might adjust. Oh, sorry, Pure Life. But yeah, this will be the top of my scale. So I'm just going to pick randomly. The books aren't in any type of order. Like I said, I haven't given any thought to it. I kind of just want this video to be in the moment so I can use this as a base for future rankings so I know what to do and what not to do. I don't know if I'll keep this ranking because I literally just figured this out right now. Anyway, we are going to grab off the top is Phantoms by Dean Koontz. Now, I can admit this one might be a nostalgia ranking because I read this when I was in high school. I really liked the book. It fits the genre that I really love. I know they consider these horror books. They're not horror to me because they didn't really scare me. Um, but it is a horror novel dealing with a creature I'm going to put this right here and I will give it a number. Hold on, do it this way. Put it right here. I'm going to say this book for me, I'm going to say this book is a 4.3. I would definitely recommend. I do go back and reread parts of this, specific scenes. I don't read it cover to cover, which is why it's kind of a 4. But I mean, in all honesty, it should kind of be behind the salt, but nostalgia is keeping you right here. And I would recommend it. I think people would like this book. I don't know, the creature leans a little campy, but that's something I like. I can be honest and say that after a while, once the creature starts talking, that might not be up everyone's wheelhouse. So, 4.3. What book fell? Oh, His Majesty's Dragon. I can already tell you I can't be normal about this book. Another book I read when I was young, fell in love with it. This is the copy that has followed me through college, through job changes. This is a 5. I have my nostalgic goggles on. I don't even care. This is a 5 read. I recommend it to everyone. Plus it has dragons and it's by Naomi. So, I like her. Okay. Okay. 5, 4.3. What's next up here? Lightning by Danielle Steele. Great book. Oh my gosh. I would recommend this to everyone. I feel like I have recommended it to everyone. This is another older read. I pulled this off my mother's bookshelf. I still have one of my old back when I was in school using note cards as bookmarks, empty note cards. This is the original copy. It's followed me everywhere. The writing style is great. I felt that the relationships were written really well, they were believable. Her husband is a very well written asshole. It, you could really, there was nothing in here that really made me go, I can't believe that happened. Well, there was one part as I got older, I was kind of like, we can't compare the two. But this is another 5-star read for me. I hope the next book I pick out I can be objective about, but I just have to just be honest. I cannot be objective about these 3. So this one I'm going to put behind um, His Majesty's Dragon because that's how much I love that book. But yeah, if you are a fan of dramas, of relationship dramas, slight workplace dramas. Almost it I think I said this in my first video, but it gives me Manhwa feels, how she's so misaligned by the first ML. Um and then how all that karma comes back onto him. So great read. Let's see. Next off the pile. Okay. Michael Crichton, Lost World. Literally just finished this book. This is what prompted the video because I thought since I finished it, I might as well rank what I have. Um, I know for sure I'm gonna put it above Dean Koontz. I would read this any day over Dean. I will say his writing is very direct. It When I was reading Jurassic Park the first time, it took me a second to get into it, but when I was into it, I loved it. It kind of teeters on the line of telling more than showing. That's kind of hard to pin down with any book. Telling, it's either really obvious or it comes to personal taste, in my opinion. Um, but yeah, he teeters on that, and it works for me. There's a lot of medical jargon in here. Well, not medical, science jargon in here. I can see why it might push away some readers. But if you're a fan of the Jurassic Park movies, I would highly suggest watching this. I would highly suggest reading this because it's so different from the second movie that was released. Two completely different plot lines. Um, the tension was great. I was even there was moments where I was really worried for two characters in particular. Because when you're reading a book, sometimes you know who they're not going to touch. And there were two children in here, so you know they're safe. But there were some adults that I was really worried about and who I really wanted to make it. So I would say this one sits more at like a 4.5 for me. Move down salt. Dean, you're getting a little pushed out here. Okay. Maybe I should mark something so everybody knows these are the fives. Okay, maybe I'll do them this way. Okay, this is all happening at the same time. Okay. Okay. These are the fives, still in the fours. All right, let's move on. Let's reach back. Okay, let's reach back. Oh, Freshwater. Let me do this. Oh, that's better. Freshwater by Akwaeke Emezi. I sobbed reading this book. Sobbed. So this is a literary work of fiction. So there's not really a plot driving the story forward. It's very character driven, which is up my alley. That's one thing I really like about literary fiction, how we focus on the characters. Or I know like the actual definition has something to do with human nature, or that's what these books are supposed to touch on, parts of human nature. But I will say there's some heavy, heavy things in this book dealing with assault, multiple sexual assaults onto our main character, the effects of that, her split personalities. I've said in my first video that I took some things away from this book that I don't think the author intended. So I always suggest this book just so I can see what other people think about it. I think it opens to an interesting discussion. I feel like she wasn't really a god. I think that was just what happens when a mind is broken at a young age and a child is trying to comprehend what has happened to them through the abuse. So, but I know, I feel like the author intended that she is a god. The main character is a god. I didn't read it that way. And that's like the fun of literary work. It could literally go either way. Well, it's just up for interpretation. That's what I love about it. So this one, oh gosh, the sobbing, the tear factor. I felt so many emotions reading this. There's so few books that have actually brought me to tears outside of what's the book by N.K. Jemisin, the Broken Earth trilogy. I read that first book in a night and I was sobbing. I would have it up here if my sister wasn't robbed. I let her borrow it and someone broke into her car and stole the book along with it. Um, but yeah, where would I put this? Oh man, I know I'm looking past the hot sauce because it's definitely a five. I'm going to have to, I think the next time I do one of these rankings, get really serious about my five placements. Um, but yeah, this is a five. I still can't be normal about His Majesty's Dragons. If I was objective, this would definitely go above it. But nostalgia has its hooks on me. But I think that should at least tell you something that I would recommend this one. If I could be fair, it would be going right here. But let me readjust. Okay. His Majesty's Freshwater Lightning, my fives. This is a 4.5, 4.3. Let's see what's next. Okay. This was another recent read. Um Lucky Day by Chuck Tingle. I can already outright say it wasn't a 5 for me. I really enjoyed the book. I thought the first event was really, this is my favorite word, was really compelling. It sucked me right in. I thought the language was vivid. I thought the writing was good. I felt like it didn't feel too heavy. I never got lost in the sentences or anything like that, if that makes any sense, or lost through the paragraphs. The characters I liked. It took me a second to get into our main character, Vera, and she really pissed me off near the end of the book. It nearly DNF'd with only 20 pages left. Like I was like, girl, what are we doing in this climax? But that was on page 20, and then the last 20 pages, and then the last 15 pages blew me away. It pulled the themes it pulled the themes together with so little words. It was perfect. It was perfect the way it all came together at the end of the book. When she sent that email and said, "It doesn't matter, cinema." I was like, this is cinema. Now I need to see this as a movie. Um, but I had other problems with it. I didn't think the second event was really necessary. It lacked a punch. It lacked a punch like the first one. Sorry. It lacked a punch like the first event. Her little partner, I couldn't really get a read on him. I just felt like we didn't know him enough for me to form an opinion. I was gooped and gagged um, at what he did near the end of the book. Gagged, like had to put it down and call my sister type of gagged. But I had my issues with it. There were certain events that I felt didn't need to happen. Their way to the final showdown, I felt was so unnecessary. So unnecessary. So this I would definitely recommend because it is fun. It's a lot of fun, but I would put it behind Dean Koontz. Well, no, I'd put it before Dean Koontz. I think this one has more. If I'm weighing in recommending this to people, I think I would recommend this more than Dean Koontz. So I'm gonna put this at a 4.4. I need better spread. Maybe on my next video I'll really think about these because I'm going off the cuff here. Okay, so let's check Tingle. Let's see what else is on my pile. Oh, okay. The Candy House. I don't even know if it looks because the cover is interesting enough that I don't think it reads well on my janky phone setup. But this is by Jennifer Egan, I believe is her last name. This is another literary work. I read this back with my I read this with my reading group, not my reading group, but my book club with my friends. This was the literary pick when we spun the wheel. And I don't know. It's definitely going to move on the other side of salt. So we're finally getting down to some. I should have had a better setup, but we're finally getting down into some threes. There were things I loved about it, and then there were things that were really boring about it that didn't really leave an impact. Um, there were some concepts introduced in this book that I kind of mention amongst my friend groups or amongst the people I know who've read this even today. So I think that's interesting. It's a fun commentary. I feel like on connection and people and technology, but the way it was told is what was losing me. There were POVs that were more interesting there than others. There were some that I didn't quite get why they were being included. Um, yeah, I this one I'm not sure I would recommend. This was my first Jennifer Egan book. I just like even now thinking about it because I'm a ways removed. Um, there was no lasting impact. Like I said, there were some concepts that I still use today, but as far as the characters and the stories, I mean, there was one POV in one specific telling in this character's life that really stuck with me that I thought was so like this is what makes literary fiction, but it was only a snapshot. Some the other ones didn't grab me like that. So this I'm going to say was a 3.5. So now I can readjust my setup so we can see the salt. I swear, Dragon King's Temple doesn't want to stay up. Okay, so what did I say? I already see I forgot that quick. Such is the curse of the candy house. Um I think I was a 3.5. So we're going to put you right here. So this is definitely 3, and this is definitely, so anything above the sauce is a 5. This is the 4s, this is the 3s. We haven't gotten down to the waters yet. But let's reach back here. What's left? Oh, here we go. Here we go. Here, water. The Butterfly Garden by Hutchison. So, you know what? Let me take that back. That was kind of shade. This book was not that bad. This was another pick from my friend's book club, or it's just a book club amongst my friends. We were doing that at the beginning of the year. And this one won the wheel. It's not bad. As you get in it, you kind of get sucked into the story, but it was very cliche and typical and just an episode of Criminal Minds. That's what it was to me. An episode of Criminal Minds. I wouldn't really suggest it. Um, I haven't even really given like a summary of each of these books, but it's kind of too late. But this is one. It's like this guy was kidnapping all these girls, and he tattooed butterflies on their back, and we're in the POV of a particular butterfly before they escape. So a lot of the book is told between her time in the interrogation room and her time in the interrogation room after the events, and then flashing back to her time in the butterfly garden. I did not like the main character. I don't know. She was giving real main character energy in a derogatory sense. The story was really cliche. Um, I will say the ending was exciting. Like the climax of this book was exciting, although you could really see it coming from a mile away. I was almost more interested in what happens after her release, basically. Like, how would this trial go? How does the murderer's family like react to him being this crazy kidnapper, rapist, criminal minds esque serial killer, basically? How does that tear through his family? I was almost more interested in that than what our main character had going on. Um, but yeah, this one was definitely a low. I can't give it a 2 because I did like it by the end of it. I did really like it. I mean, if you want something that's going to give you that TV thrill, it doesn't go too dark. And you know what? No, Criminal Minds definitely had some episodes that went darker than this. The puppet episode went darker than this. So yeah, but it hits like it reads like that to me. It reads like an episode of CBS TV, maybe CSI, but Criminal Minds is my closest comparison because of the serial killer, serial kidnapper aspect of it. So yeah, this one was just a 3. As this number is going to change because I don't remember it. As the Candy House was a 3.5, this is a 3. They're not touching. What else is on here? Oh, I read this a few years ago. Red Rising. Um, so what I can say about Red Rising is that I really enjoyed it in the moment, but I did not finish the series. I actually bought the second group. I mean, I actually bought the second book. I just never cracked it open. I never opened it. I heard it gets better as the books go on. Um, but I don't know. It felt very Hunger Games esque to me, especially with his girlfriend and her singing thing. I don't know, I felt that wasn't earned. I didn't feel like her martyrdom was earned in the way that Ruse was earned. Um I thought the I thought the Hunger Game, it wasn't even like Hunger Games, but that's all I could kind of get the comparison of. Their little trial made little sense to me why they were being put against each other like that. I didn't really like how the women were written. Like this is supposed to be the golds, if I remember correctly, are these like master, like the top of the food chain over there. They're all supposed to be super strong, super whatever, whatever. And when they get out to do their little ridiculous, in my opinion. Their little ridiculous survival camp thing. The women are just reduced to the cooks and the cleaners. There was only one, but all the other ones were being oh, there was only one who they tried to set up as a threat to him strategically in this game, but everybody else they were kidnapping to cook, like literally swinging people over shoulders and running out like cavemen. I don't know. It was weird when you're trying to tell me that these are the top fighters, top thinkers, but there's only one strategic woman. Really, I wasn't buying it. I wasn't buying what they were trying to sell me. And I get the color system was getting confusing after, well, not confusing because we only touched on it a little bit at the beginning before we really just stayed with the golds. Um but I don't know. I wasn't compelled by, what was his name? By Darrow. I wasn't compelled to pick up the second one. There were things that I found interesting. I would but I haven't ever gone back to reread it. There were the prose was beautiful. There were definitely some beautiful lines, but the story as a whole was very cliche and typical for the time that it came out. I feel like a lot of these type of books were coming out at the same time. I would definitely recommend it to a boy if that's telling. Um like to my younger cousins, something, to help them, not to help them get into reading, but this is something I think like a teenager would fly through. um so if I'm trying to entice them to read, I would definitely, but even then I just didn't like how the women were portrayed. mm I am gonna put you over here. I am gonna put you behind the water. So we're gonna say you were, let me just scrunch up so people can see stuff. We are going to say you were a 2.9. Yeah, I have mixed feelings about Red Rising because I read it a few years ago. I have not recommended it to anybody since. But I will give it that as you're reading it and you're coming to the end, you can kind of get swept into the building action. But I don't know. His whole goal still felt really abstract to me. So I wasn't able to really grasp what he was trying to do. Like, is he really trying to take down the whole system? Just trying to kill the one who killed his girlfriend, wife, fiance? I would need to reread it because I haven't read it since. So I that might not be in there, but I don't remember. But yeah, 2.9. I'm going to say. Let me see. I think there's only one book. Yeah, last book. Oh, is the book I don't have the cover for. So let me, is Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. So, Yellowface. Yellowface, Yellowface, Yellowface. Another book I read a while ago that I really enjoyed, but can't really put my finger on it. Something tells me it should go somewhere right here. It's definitely going to go above this, maybe even above Candy House. Cause I like the book. I feel like R.F. Kuang has the writing style in here was really easy for me to fall into. Like I got lost in the story. I think I haven't read any of her other books, so I don't know if it was purposeful on this one, but it was very simplistic, which I could almost feel was a choice, um, and a choice that I liked. You got really pulled into the our kind of antagonist, protagonist, whatever you want to consider her. You got really pulled into her narrative. There were some interesting questions raised about, I want to say her name was June. We are going to call her June because I cannot for the life of me remember what the main character's name was. That's part of the thing with first person sometimes, since you don't see it often. We're calling her June for this review. I mean, for this ranking. But her perspective raised some interesting questions for me, or interesting thoughts. I do kind of have an affinity for assholes or kind of narcissistic characters, because I like to see how they're written and how you're going to portray their thought process. I thought it was interesting that she was almost close to the point that she had like a little bit of a monologue about being perceived only as a white woman, how that puts a mark on her point of view or what she's writing, that people can't see past that. And I'm like, that's kind of that's what other that's what writers of color and authors of color go through. Once they find out you're black, Asian, whatever it is, it becomes that book. It becomes a black book. And there's nothing wrong with being a black book, or an Asian book, or a there's nothing wrong with that. But it immediately, there's a whole slew of people who won't read you, or who will assume something about the writing because of the label. So to see that June was onto that, I thought it was interesting, because I don't I how do I say this? Because I feel like that was a valid opinion to have, because I think this was during the whole, when I'm thinking about when this book might have come out, around all the whole Karen stuff. I could see where she was coming from, but she didn't make the connection to the person she was stealing from, which is the disconnect for June. So she can put herself in it and empathize, but she can't empathize for others. So June was interesting to read. I don't know, like her connection to the writer she was stealing from, how that defined all her work after that, how she couldn't really write anything after that, and then how she had a twist for the end. I almost wanted a second book to see how she got out of it. So yeah, this is definitely hmm. This is definitely going before the Candy House. Do I put it before Dean Koontz? If I can be objective, because I don't go back and reread it, but I would definitely recommend Yellowface. I'm gonna put it. I'm going to put it um behind Lucky Day. I should have written this down, because I'm pretty sure I did Lucky Day at a 4.5. This was the 4.3. I'm going to say this was another 4.5. I'm just going to put it on the same level. I had to think about it. I know for sure it goes above these. This one is my nostalgia bait in the middle, but I'm willing to see that Yellowface was a better read. Let me see. Yeah, that's what I'll do. I'll put it before Dean Koontz, but behind Lucky Day. Yeah, yeah, I like that. Yeah, I can get behind that. I can be I can be objective about Dean Koontz a little bit. But yeah, so you can barely see me behind this stacks, but this is the rankings of the current books I have on me that I have finished. We have at the top Her Throne, His Majesty's Dragon, book 1 in the series. I might take this, and when the next time I do a ranking, I might taking out, because I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's fair. I cannot be objective about this book. It will be at the top no matter what. I could read the best book of my life and it will go after this one. But we have the top is a 5 is His Majesty's Dragon. Then we have after it is Freshwater by Akwaeke Emezi. Lightning by Danielle Steele. Lost World by Michael Crichton. Lucky Day by Chuck Tingle. Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. Um, Phantoms by Dean Koontz. The Candy House by Jennifer Egan. Um, The Butterfly Garden by Hutchison, and then Red Rising by Pierce Brown. So out of all these, this is my above the hot sauce, my fives, my fours, my threes, and my one lonely two. Out of all these books, the one, if I had to recommend one book for everyone to read, it would be Lightning by Danielle Steele. This book has so much, I feel like the drama would really suck people in. The romance is kind of there too, but the comeuppance on her ex-husband is such a great thing to read. So yeah, I out of all of them, I would recommend this one. This would be the first book I recommend, followed by Lucky Day by Chuck Tingle. This is the rankings of the books I've read that I have in my possession. The next time I do it will be after I finish my current read, which I'm still deciding between Relic by Preston and Child or Congo by Michael Crichton. I might do Relic just because I already peeked at it a little bit and I don't want to jump into another Michael Crichton book um, so quickly. But yeah, hopefully I'll be better organized when I do this next time. But here's my rankings. I'll talk to you guys later.